Hey everybody, welcome to the BMC 3D channel. Today I'm trying something a little new. Lately I've been watching a lot of videos of people creating designs in Fusion360, which obviously that's something that I do on a pretty much a daily basis. Um, so I find these videos interesting because it's cool to see the ways in which people create things, because we obviously don't all do it the same way. Every time you watch a video like that, you learn new tips and tricks and whatnot, because we do everything differently. So I thought I would record, or maybe start recording a series of these videos where I just create some new designs or maybe update some existing ones and just kind of show you guys how I do it. So yeah, let's jump right in. So this is the BMC 3D website. Give it a look if you haven't already. But so today, I think what we're going to do is we're going to model up the RunCam Nano 2. So a lot of times when I'm making various models for frames, when it's something that is a mount for a component, like a camera or antenna or whatever it may be, I like to go in and actually just model the component that the mount is going to be for. And I've done a lot of the cameras, micros, and full size, and minis and everything. So it usually only takes me a few minutes to get something that's pretty true to scale and can be pretty useful when designing mounts. Um, so the first thing we'll need to do is get some measurements and dimensions to create the model. But usually you can go to RunCam usually has them here on their site, but for a lot of other components also you can go to Banggood a lot of times, because they'll include all the product photos, but then a lot of times they'll have sort of like schematic photos too. They'll have dimensions and whatnot, and those can be really useful for creating these things. So here on the RunCam site, we just scroll down to the bottom, past all this stuff you can see down here. It's exactly what we want. We get a side profile shot, the dimension, and a rear shot also with dimensions, and it's like sort of like 3/4 one. That's not really too useful for what we're going to do, but it still gives us some useful information, like that it's an M8 lens and 2 screws. So I've already saved these 2 images, so let's just jump on over to Fusion360. We'll open up a new document here, and the first thing we'll do is insert the photos that we downloaded. So you go to the insert menu and select canvas, and we want to insert from the computer. So we'll look at downloads, and we'll get this Racer Nano 2. And let's see, I think that was, let's see, which, okay, that is the one from the back. So let's actually, we're going to put that on this face, clear that out, and put it. Oh, it's not going to let me change it. Come on. All right, cancel that. Let's do it again. Canvas, and from the computer, downloads to, and then that. There we go. That's what I want. And hit OK. And so there we go. Now we have it. Flip around this way. And what we'll do now, if you go over here and right-click on the canvas that you added, go to edit canvas, and I know I'm going to need to scale it up just because they're always kind of small, so we'll do that. And now go back over here, right click, and select calibrate. And so what you'll do, let's square it up, is you'll pick 2 points on the canvas, and then you tell it what that dimension is, and then it will scale the photo accordingly. So we know this is 14 millimeters, and we'll go here and click at one point, and click on the other end, and tell it that's 14 millimeters. So there. Now let's insert the other one. Insert canvas again, and select our photo. And then now this one needs to go on this plane. Yeah, that's fine. I think we can actually, let's flip it. Yeah, we'll flip it like that. There we go. And then now let's calibrate that one. Enter. There we go. And now what you can actually do is you can see, so the two canvases are intersecting, but they're slightly off, which that may be fine actually. I don't know. Let's see. Let's do this. Let's edit this one, and we'll raise it up just a hair. So it's kind of centered with the other one. Save that. All right. Now let's start building our model. So we'll create a sketch. We'll do that on this plane. Oh, let's do this. Since I like to have things centered, so we'll start with our 14 by 14 square. Just leave that there, and then now we'll move our canvas to match that. So yeah, and let's extrude that. So, and that'll do for now. And then now let's adjust our other canvas. That's right. So that's good. Got those all lined up. Now see, I noticed that the body of this camera actually tapers a little from here to here. So it's slightly narrower along this line versus this one. So normally I would just stick with this box, but in reality it actually needs to taper a little bit. You know, and depending on what you're going to do with it, it may not need to be that exact of a replica, but I like to just go ahead and get them as close as I can, just because I can, you know. So let's see, how do we want to do that? There's a number of things you could do. You could just create a sketch on this side of our square here, and then just cut little bits, just cut a little sliver here, and extrude that out, and extrude it out on the bottom. But really we want it to be on all four sides. So on the top, it's probably going to need to be on this side, and the bottom, and of course the opposite side over here. So let's do this. Let's create a sketch here, and then what we can do is we can use the project tool. So project, normally I just hit P, as you can see here, P is the hotkey, project, and then you can click bodies or faces, edges, or whatever, and it will project those onto your sketch. So I can just click the square, and then I get the square now in my sketch. And so what we want to do is, since we know we want to make this just a little bit smaller, we'll do offset, select all four sides, and so that's already set to 1 millimeter. And looking at this, like that's, if this is 1 millimeter, then this little transition is a lot less than that. So let's change that to negative 0.3. Let's try that. All right, and then let's see. And now let's let's finish that sketch and then go to the other side, create another sketch on the back side here. Again, project, take that square, enter. So now we can hide the body, and we have this other sketch. Turn. Okay, we have two sketches here. I'll hide the canvases so you can see a little better. So we have our two sketches here with one square that's 14 millimeters and this one that's a little bit smaller. So what we'll do, finish that sketch, and then we'll go to the loft tool. First we'll click this this profile, and then this one. And of course Fusion does not want to cooperate. Is it going to work? Oh, let's see here. Yeah, there we go. Sorry, I forgot I had all the bodies hidden, so you couldn't see the body it was creating. But there we go. See, now we have this slightly tapered block. So we'll bring our canvases back, and that looks like a pretty decent match. Let's see, what's next? We can build out, I'm trying to think how to kind of do this kind of curvy transition. Let's just go ahead and build out the lens and the lock ring and all that, and we'll kind of circle back on this, I think. So hide those canvases so it's just a little easier to see. Create another sketch here, and create a circle. That needs to be, let's do this actually. Let's do that. Let's cancel this sketch real quick. And bring that back. What we need is, we need to measure this. Want Alright, let's do this. Let's do this. Create a sketch on this plane, and we'll just draw a line to measure it. How about that? So that is 12 millimeters. And then what is this? This is 11 and a quarter, let's say. In fact, let's go a little larger. We'll say 11.3. All right. So back out of this sketch. Create another one on this surface, and we'll create a circle. 11.3. We're going to extrude that. Take it up to 6.5. There we go. Actually, let's get it a little closer. So we've got our history down here. If we mess something up, we can just come down here to the feature, double click it, and now we can adjust it however we like. So let's choose the 4.8, 4.7, 4.6. That looks good. All right, and now let's do some measuring again. Let's see what this is. This is basically the threads on the camera lens. So that's 8 millimeters. All right. Another sketch. C for circle. 8 millimeters. E for extrude. 2 millimeters. That looks good. And if you don't want to, when you're doing this, if you don't want to create a sketch each time, you can just come up here and use the primitive form. So pick a cylinder, click this face, click the center point, and then we know this one's going to be 12 millimeters. And drag that out. Let's say 3.3. Looks good. Now, I like to even get the curve of the lens. So what we'll do here, create another sketch on its YZ plane, right? And then we'll project the face of the lens right there. So that gets us a straight line there. Zoom in a little bit. And then we're just going to draw a line out like this. And then we'll do 3-point arc here to here. You zoom in, you can get a little more resolution, I guess, on the arc, so like that. And then what we'll do is finish the sketch, go over to create, and select revolve. Click that, and then you select your axis. We want this. And then by default, I think it does a full 360 degrees. So, oh, come on, let's just 360. There we go. All right, and see that if we look at the profile, we have that little arc there. Alright, so now we still need to work out all the curvy stuff on this body. Let's see. So, first, I think what we'll do, let's fill out these corners. Just like 0.5 millimeter would be good. So the thing about the way these corners are, let me hide this for a second. They're not just like straight cuts or straight fillet. It's actually almost like if you rounded off the top of a cube with like a sphere. It's kind of hard to explain, but let's look back over here. Yeah, because you see right here, the curve like that. It's kind of like if you sliced a sphere, in half or a side off of it. So that's why you kind of get this sloping at the corners and not as much on the sides. And so a way that you can do that in Fusion, or with any software probably, I guess, bring our body back. And then I actually don't want this to all be one body, because I really just want to cut, I want to just cut kind of the main tube of the camera, not the kind of more lens portion. So let's split this body, select the body, and then select the splitting tool, which for what we're doing is going to be this face right here. So we'll select that, and that will split it into two bodies. So now I can turn off or hide that lens portion, and we're just left with this back half. So let's see. I think I want to actually stretch this out all the way up to the lock ring portion, basically. So we'll do press pull, which is Q, like that, and then drag that out. Let's do 2.5. Yeah, that looks good. 2.5. All right. And now what we're going to do is we're going to create a sphere. So let's see. Let's kind of doesn't matter which where we put it because we're going to end up moving it around anyway. So we're going to select this. Let's see. Obviously, that's too small because to get the cut we want, the sphere actually needs to be considerably larger than the actual camera body. But you can kind of see here, you know, this is giving us a shape similar to what we see over here, except we just need to move it so that it is, this is the part we're cutting away and we're left with the rest of it. So let's see, maybe we'll make this just a hair bigger. That, and we don't want to cut, we just want to create a new body, all right? So we'll leave that there. Let's bring back our, yeah, just rotate. Let's look at it from this side. And see, you can see this sort of silhouette here where it's cutting away from the block, and that sort of matches it, but it actually looks like our sphere is a little too small. So let's just save that movement right there, and then we'll go back and edit this. We're going to make it bigger. Let's go 24, all right, and move it again. It's close. I still think we need to go a little bit bigger. Let's go up to 26. All right, and move, M for move. Drag that down, and look at that. See those lines? That's starting to match it really well. So now what we'll do, let's see, save that move. We've got this portion of the camera sticking out. So what we basically need now is the intersection between these two bodies. Okay. So let's see, where's the intersect tool? I think we just use combine, select a body, select the other body. We don't want join, we want intersect. Boom, look at that. Oh, it's this. Edit that. We don't need to keep the sphere, so we can uncheck keep tools, and then that goes away. Now let's bring back our lenses. Look at that. That's pretty slick. Now I wonder, I feel like maybe I should have pulled that sphere down just a hair farther. Like half a millimeter. Yeah, that looks better. Pretty good, pretty good. Alright. And now, let's see. Now we need to work on the screw holes and the little surround around it, around the little brass insert that's in the camera case. So let's create a sketch. We'll do it on the YZ plane. And then let's see, these are M2 screws. So we'll just put a 2mm circle. We'll go ahead and let's make that extrude symmetric between both sides, and that cuts our screw hole. And let's see, so we need to make the little surround that's around it. So I want to do that as a separate body because of the angle of the side of the case right here. If this case wasn't tapered, I could just create a sketch on the side of the case and draw the shape of it and then just extrude it all the way through and then combine it with the body. But since this case has a slight taper to it, I'm going to have to do it a little differently. So let's create another sketch on this plane, and then we'll project our circle onto it. And we're going to do an offset of that circle. Let's see, let's do 1.8 millimeters. And then I'm going to extrude that. Let's just, yeah, we'll hide these two bodies. We're going to extrude this. Let's do symmetric. We know the whole width of the camera case is 14 millimeters, so we'll just do that. And I'll bring back lens and the body. Like that. And so now we can join them. So we'll select the body and then this little hole surround. We don't want to intersect this. Now we just want to join. So we'll join them like that. Hide the lens. And then, oh, you don't need to keep that piece. There we go. Okay. And now, in order to make the sides of this match the taper of the body, which actually that's interesting. I wonder, oh, on this camera, if the body is slightly tapered, I wonder, like, are these screw holes perpendicular to the side of the case? I don't know. Whatever, we'll just roll with it as is. So what we're going to do is split body, select the body, and for our splitting tool, we're going to use this face right here, and that's going to slice off this little sliver. Now that's gone. And we'll do the same thing on this side. Split body, select the whole body, splitting tool, select this face, and that splits it, hide that piece, there we go. Now, there's our lens. There's our lens. What we can do now is let's turn this canvas off so we can see a little better. Now we can start doing some filleting, alright? First we'll hit, let's join the body and our lens. Don't need to keep it, so that's good, alright? Now the filleting. F for fillet, I just want these little lines right here first. That's good. And then this one, I don't quite want that. And 75. That looks good. And then now this one. There we go. How about that? And let's see. So our lock ring has a little chamfer on it, so I'll select chamfer, hit this edge, and do 0.5 millimeter. That looks good. So, like, really, you could cut in this part too if you wanted, but it doesn't end up being really all that useful when you're designing other parts. So I'll cut out some of the details. In fact, a lot of times I won't even cut out this whole section. I'll basically just make the lens go all the way back, just because if you're making some piece that, say, this camera needs to slide into, then you're going to use this camera model and subtract it away from some other shape that you create. And well, if you do that and you use a model like this, it's going to leave material in this whole area that you'll have to come back in and clean up and take out. So sometimes I make these kind of ultra simplistic versions just because they're a little more useful when you're creating other things. But for this demo, we'll do it like this. So let's see, that looks good. Let's kind of want to color this. Oh, you know what? We're not done. Let's look at the back here. Turn this other canvas on. We've got the plug here. Since that sticks out from the back of the camera, that's going to affect and dictate the way that you design components around this. So let's create a sketch, and then R for rectangle. Grab that here. Just go like that. Enter, and then E. Oh. E. Extrude. Just drag that on out. That 4.2. That looks good. Turn our canvases off. And that's our plug. In fact, we can, if we want to get rid of this fillet on the little plug, we can just select that face and delete it. Although we get this little transition between the fillet and this corner, which I'm not a huge fan of, but whatever. We can do this. Let's see. Extrude, select this face, and say to object, select this one, and just do join. Boom. Now we get a sharp edge all the way. So there you go. Look at that. Looks good. Let's go ahead and color it. So when you're applying an appearance, you either apply them to faces or the whole body. And in order to, you either have to make this all one color, or if you want it to actually look like a camera where you have black lens, black threads, black lock ring, and then the orange case, and then the plug is what, white or whatever. It's kind of a pain to click all the individual faces. So what you can do instead is just come in and split the body like that, and then we'll split it back here too. That. Now hit A for appearance, color that yellow, and then let's see, let's go appearances, plastic, PBS white. Sounds good, like that. There we go. Not bad. And now if you want to upload this, you can export it. Was that up here somewhere? File, export. Step files are useful for importing into other design software or whatever. So I usually like to include those sometimes. A step file, export it there. If you just want to export an STL to print out, you up here hit Tools and click Make, and then you can select what you want to export as an STL. But Fusion just wants to let you select an individual body, and we have 3 here because we split it up to color it. So that won't work. And for some reason, you can't select multiple bodies and export them as STL. I don't know why. That's stupid. But what you can do is you can just come over here and right-click the root of your browser and click Save as STL, and then it will save the whole thing as one single STL. So that's what you can do in that situation. There you go. That's it. That's a simple way to design an FPV camera. That would have gone even faster if I didn't have the tapered portion of the body, just because then when everything's square and straight, it's even easier. You can do one of these cameras in 5 minutes or something, if that, So yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think down in the comments. I'll tell you to subscribe, but at this point I'm not even sure how many more of these I'll do. But if you like it, let me know and maybe I'll keep doing them. Peace.